The air in the bedroom was still, like the last seconds before a storm. He'd just gotten out of the shower, towel slung around his neck, the scent of cedar soap still clinging to his skin. I was already in bed, scrolling through emails with one hand, the other curled under the pillow. He leaned down slightly, habit, muscle memory maybe, and reached for my waist like he used to, like nothing had shifted. I pulled back, just one step, enough to make it unmistakable. His hand hovered in the air a second longer before falling to his side. "Don't touch me," I said, keeping my voice even. "I'm not playing wife tonight." He blinked once, like a camera shutter freezing everything between us, then, "Perfect, you won't have to again." He didn't raise his voice, he didn't ask what I meant. He just turned, picked up his phone from the nightstand, and walked out without a sound. The door clicked shut, not slammed, clicked. That was the part that stuck with me later. If you're still listening and any of this feels uncomfortably familiar, hit like and subscribe. Most people just listen in silence, but the one click tells the team these stories matter. I lay there in the half-light from the hallway, the blue glow of my screen still buzzing, one unread text, 3 work alerts, a group message from Amber. "You okay tonight?" I started to reply, then stopped. At 6:22 the next morning, my phone showed 17 missed calls, none from him, 2 from Amber, 1 from my sister. The rest were mine, calls I'd placed to him between 2 and 5:30 a.m., each more desperate than the last, straight to voicemail every time. His side of the bed was untouched, still made, a sharp crease down the pillow like a folded shirt never worn. I got up, went into the kitchen barefoot, the tiles cold against my heels. His travel mug wasn't in the sink. The spare keys he kept in the ceramic bowl near the fridge were gone. So was the garage remote. I told myself he was just driving, just cooling off. He'd be back by lunch, but by 11:42 a.m., he'd wiped his location from our shared calendar. By 2:03 p.m., his LinkedIn said open to work, and by 5:18 p.m., when I opened the shared Google Drive for our taxes, it asked me to request access. My hand hovered over my phone. I typed, "Hey," then deleted it, typed again, "Can we talk?" Deleted that too. He wasn't dramatic. He was worse, methodical. I started noticing the quiet edits. Our joint checking account had only my paycheck coming in now. His direct deposit was rerouted. The Netflix profile he used, Jay, was gone. The Bluetooth in the car no longer recognized his phone, and I couldn't explain why it felt like 100 tiny deaths. On day 3, I stayed late at work, just to avoid the silence at home. One of the interns, Jason or maybe Josh, said something stupid while I poured coffee. I laughed too loud, too long. Someone raised an eyebrow. When I got home, his jackets were missing from the hallway rack. All 3, even the one he hated, the scratchy black one from his brother. That night, I tried calling again, twice. He didn't answer. No text, no voicemail. Just that dull mechanical silence of a line gone cold. I stood in our bedroom. In the same spot I'd stepped back from him, same soft rug underfoot, same lamp casting warm light against the dresser, but it felt like someone had changed the lock on the atmosphere itself. I thought about that look on his face right after I said it, the way he didn't argue, didn't flinch, didn't explain, just accepted it, then walked out. I kept hearing that line in my head, "You won't have to again." I didn't understand what it meant yet, but by the end of that first week, I would. He didn't leave, not in the way I expected. No suitcase by the door, no dramatic speech, no slammed drawers. He still made coffee every morning, still rinsed his glass after dinner, but something vital had gone silent between the seconds. I'd come home late one night, heels in hand, still humming from a rooftop mixer I never mentioned to him. The lights were off except for the one above the sink. He was at the kitchen table, screen glowing faintly on his laptop, not waiting up, just there. I opened the fridge, pretending I didn't feel the quiet hit like a tide. "Long day?" he asked, voice flat. "Yeah, just work," I said. My smile was automatic. So was his nod. But the next morning, the grocery list he always kept on the fridge was gone. Not erased, removed, like he didn't plan to restock anything for 2 anymore. He stopped asking where I'd been, stopped reminding me to unplug my curling iron, stopped pausing whatever show we used to watch together when I walked in. And I noticed it wasn't punishment, it was absence, a withdrawal so complete it left no friction, just a dull hollow where concern used to live. He didn't check my phone when I left it face down, but I stopped seeing the subtle turn of his head when I got a text. He'd stopped caring what lit up my screen. I should have felt free, but it felt like walking barefoot through a house that wasn't mine. One night, I came into the room while he was in the office. The door wasn't shut all the way, so I stood outside unnoticed. I watched him scroll through files, my name on some of the folders. One of them said, Statements, 2023. Another, Archived SMS. He didn't look angry. He looked focused. At 4:15 in the morning, I heard the faint click of a hard drive disconnecting. I didn't sleep. Not from guilt, not yet. It was something colder. Exposure. That morning, I noticed our shared iPad was missing from the kitchen drawer, gone along with the stylus and the banking app we used to check side by side during tax season. He didn't hide it, though. Didn't pretend to still play the role of husband. He was polite, crisp, like a coworker who didn't have time for office gossip anymore. Even the dog noticed. She used to curl up by his side during weekend naps. Now she waited by the door as if sensing a shift in territory. At 8:20 a.m. sharp, I watched from the hallway as he made a call, his voice low, measured. I didn't hear much, but I caught the name. Priya. He wasn't reacting anymore. He was preparing. I tried to test the edges. Made breakfast for the first time in weeks. Eggs, toast, even the spicy jelly he liked. He thanked me, ate it, washed the plate, then went back to his office. That was it. No, this is nice. No soft glance. Just a thank you like I'd handed him a receipt. He didn't change the locks. He changed the temperature of the air between us. What used to be full of static and heat was now a vacuum. Nothing to push against. No fight to win. I checked his calendar while he showered. The slot at 9 a.m. had a new entry. Consult. P. Sinha. Private, location, off-site. I tried to guess which files he'd copied, what messages he'd saved, but I didn't know what mattered to him anymore. I'd mistaken quiet for forgiveness. Now I understood. It meant, you're no longer worth the explanation. He still kissed the dog goodbye when he left, but not me. That absence cut sharper than any shouted accusation. The photo hit my phone at 9:43 p.m., no caption, just an image. Her silver Mazda parked half-cocked outside a bar on Whitaker Street, rear lights glowing, windows steamed faintly at the edges. In the back seat, her silhouette, unmistakable, and next to her, someone else, a man leaning close, face angled down like he was whispering something, or waiting for her to. Same night, she told me she had a late call with Shanghai. She even said the client was pushing for midnight, said she'd probably crash on the couch after. Don't wait up, she texted at 7:08 p.m. I didn't reply. The friend who sent it, Nick, we used to golf once a month. He worked near that bar, caught it on the walk to his car. Thought you should see this, he'd written. No judgment, no follow-up, just truth. I stared at the image until my thumb burned from pressing the screen. The angle was bad, but the body language was crystal clear. She wasn't avoiding him. She was tucked into the moment like it was familiar, comfortable, chosen. I sent the image to Priya without commentary. By morning, she'd done what I expected. Her email came with 3 attachments. Disciplinary action, Shan 2019.pdf, paternity settlement, gdpd21.docs, LinkedIn matchscrub.html. Her note was brief. Name, Brian Keene, formerly at Bearwell Consulting. 1 HR issue settled privately. A paternity suit settled in mediation. Records sealed but metadata matched. 2 LinkedIn profiles. The new one omits his prior terminations. Likely self-curated. Then 1 last line. He's not exactly stable, but he is predictable. Classic post-conflict attachment profile. Probably tells her she's brave, that she deserves better. I didn't answer right away. Just open the files, read every word, every timestamp, every pattern of avoidance and cleanup and ego. A man like that doesn't appear out of nowhere. He hovers, he watches, he waits for cracks. But cracks only matter if you let water in. Later that day, she came home early, said she wasn't feeling well, wore a hoodie, no makeup, hair tied back like she wanted to be mistaken for innocence. Long call? I asked casually. She blinked. Yeah. Shanghai's pushing deadlines, it's a mess. I said. Then stood, picked up my mug, and walked to the sink. Her phone buzzed on the counter, face down, but not silent. The screen lit up just enough for me to catch 3 words. Can't stop thinking. The contact name was just an emoji, a star. I didn't touch it, didn't need to. I'd already seen more than she knew. He's a professional rebound, Priya had said. No, I told her, he's a mirror. Because that's what she'd chosen. Not strength, not growth. A reflection that required no honesty, no accountability. Just an audience willing to applaud her edits. She didn't see me watching her differently now. She still thought I might snap, or beg, or plead. She hadn't noticed the lack of reaction meant she'd lost something deeper. That night, she asked if I wanted to watch something together. Some throwback comedy we used to like. I told her I was tired, that I'd be in the study. She nodded quietly, maybe even relieved. She didn't know she'd already lost access, not just to the files, to the version of me who cared enough to be betrayed. It started small, easy to overlook if you weren't paying attention, the kind of silence that doesn't make a scene, just pulls back like low tide and never returns. Her friend Jenna turned 32 that Friday. Usually I'd go, smile through it, refill drinks, laugh at stories I'd already heard, but when the invite came through, I said I had a deadline. No explanation, no apology. She blinked, hesitated like she was about to argue, then nodded too quickly. Okay, sure. She left wearing something new. I didn't say a word about it. Didn't ask who'd be there. And just sipped my tea and turned back to the screen. She came back tipsy. I heard the key fumble before it clicked. Her laugh floated through the door before her body did. She waited a beat too long in the kitchen, probably hoping I'd step out, say something. I didn't. Dinner the next evening was chicken she'd overcooked. Used to be her favorite recipe. We sat at the table, the light above us humming faintly. She asked how my day was. I said, productive. She asked if I'd heard from my brother. Nope. She tapped her nails on the wine glass. You're quiet. I chewed, swallowed, just eating. That night as we got ready for bed, she paused at the door in her robe, mascara faint under her eyes. No kiss goodnight? I shrugged, brushing my teeth. Didn't want to interrupt your work? She held the silence for a second, but I didn't look up from the mirror. Eventually, I heard the bedroom door shut with just enough pressure to register disappointment. By Saturday, she started testing the edges. Said she was grabbing brunch with coworkers, said it casually like a leaf drifting on water. I nodded without looking up from my coffee. Have fun. She left with her hair curled in perfume she hadn't worn in months. I didn't follow. Didn't ask which coworker. Didn't need to. At 4:12 p.m., I got the call. I let it ring once before picking up. Hey, she said, I'm at the gate. It's stuck or something. I glanced at the screen. Brian's name wasn't visible, but I knew. The camera log had pinged his license plate 10 minutes earlier. It's not stuck, I said. A pause. What? It's locked. You changed the code? No, I removed yours. Her breath caught. She wasn't used to being cut out, not by me. But I live here. For now, I said, and ended the call. I watched the feed from the driveway camera. Her car idled just outside the gate, engine rumbling softly. She stepped out once, talked to him through the passenger window, gesturing at the keypad. He didn't get out. After 2 minutes, she climbed back in and they reversed out. She didn't come home that night, or maybe she did hours later when she knew I'd be asleep. Sunday morning, she made pancakes. No reason, just habit. I walked in, grabbed a mug from the rack and poured my coffee. No greeting. She hovered near the counter. I thought we could eat together, like before. I sipped, then looked at the empty chair across from mine. Before what? She didn't answer. Just went quiet again. She'd always assumed silence was a weapon she could use, but she didn't recognize what it looked like in someone else's hands, especially when it wasn't wielded out of pain, but precision. She hadn't lost access to the house. She'd lost access to me, and that wall, unseen, unannounced, was already sealed. The lake house was always in her stories, not her schedules. She talked about it often, firewood, fall leaves, the old canoe dock, but she rarely went. The last time we'd driven up together, she'd spent most of the weekend on her phone, half listening while I cleaned gutters and reset the storm windows. "Let's rent it out," she'd said, "or maybe do a remodel." Now, it would serve a different purpose. The title transfer went through on a Wednesday, quietly, without fanfare. The property moved from our joint names to a trust I had set up 2 years earlier. Back then, it was an idea scribbled during a financial planning seminar: asset shelters in marital volatility. The advisor had said it like a joke. I took notes. The trust bore a name she wouldn't recognize. The documents had been signed and notarized long before her late-night absences and Shanghai calls. It just needed activation, a push. She didn't ask why I'd driven out there that day, didn't even notice the key to the gate was missing from the hook. 2 days later, I moved the shared savings 38,714 into a protected account under Clause 7B of our prenuptial agreement, a clause she once called paranoid, back when everything felt permanent. It allowed a temporary freeze and redirection in cases of suspected misconduct. Suspected, not proven. That was the language that mattered. She didn't notice, too busy laughing on the couch at something on her phone. Her screen lit her face more than the lamp beside her. I watched her fingers fly across the keyboard. She didn't look up. Priya sent over the next phase of prep work, 3 folders, carefully labeled. Prenup enforceable actions, property separation, emergency clauses and asset flow, evidence archive, indexed chronologically and by GPS metadata. Inside the last folder was a chart, date, time, location, corresponding statement or image, a legal map of betrayal organized down to the minute. I scrolled through it once, then again, slower. Saw the familiar dates: Jenna's party, the conference call to Shanghai, the brunch that lasted 6 hours and ended 2 blocks from Brian's apartment. I didn't feel rage, just a cold, methodical confirmation that I wasn't crazy. That silence had been the right answer. That night, while she showered, I took the envelope Priya had couriered and placed it in the locked drawer beneath my desk. I didn't hide it. If she'd opened it, the language would have felt too formal to grasp right away, too dry to scream. She asked after dinner if I wanted to do something this weekend. What kind of something? Just, I don't know. Us. We've both been distracted. I nodded slowly. Sure. I didn't smile. I didn't offer a day or time. She kissed me on the cheek before going to bed. It felt like watching an actor hit a mark on a stage she didn't realize had already been sold to someone else. Every document I signed now was a quiet answer to the question she hadn't dared ask. Every line of legalese was a nail, not in her coffin, but in the frame of my exit. Not a word of it was said aloud, because I wasn't seeking justice. I was finishing the blueprint, and the rope was tightening with every signature. She came into the kitchen wearing the blue sweater I once told her made her look like winter sunlight. I was making coffee, reading the news, the counter between us a quiet line she hadn't crossed in weeks. Her tone was light at first, like she was testing for cracks in a wall she hadn't realized had already set. "We should reset," she said, voice soft but staged. "Just get away for a bit, vacation, you and me." I stirred my coffee, let the silence settle between us before answering. Then I nodded. "Booked something already?" I said, taking a sip. "Solo trip." She blinked, smile faltering. "Oh." The word just hung there, uncertain, like a thread without a knot. Her hands curled against the edge of the counter. "Is this about him?" I looked up, finally. "No," I said. "It's about me." She didn't reply, just stared like she was waiting for the old version of me to reappear and soften the blow. But that version had already moved his assets, his expectations, his trust. Later that night, while she was in the shower, singing like things weren't splintering, I opened the folder Priya had prepped and went over everything one last time. My name, hers, date of marriage, separation of property. Clause 14, bolded and clear, marital misconduct waives all entitlement to joint claims as of date of documented breach. It was surgical. I signed the filing and sent it from my study at 10:42 p.m. There was no rage in the motion, just a quiet breath out, like a man placing the final brick into a wall he'd spent months building behind her back. By morning, she found the letter in her inbox. Her voice cracked through the hallway before I'd even poured my coffee. "What the hell is this?" I didn't answer, just kept measuring out the grounds, slow and steady. She stormed into the kitchen, phone in hand, bare feet slapping against tile. You filed for mediation? I nodded once. You could have said something. I finally turned. You mean like you did about Shanghai, about Whitaker Street, about the man with 2 LinkedIn profiles and a sealed settlement? She froze. Her jaw tightened. I took the mug from the rack, calmly poured the coffee. I thought we were trying, she said. I thought we were figuring it out. No, I said again, voice even. You thought I was stalling. Her thumb hovered over her screen like she might delete the email if that could erase the facts. Clause 14, I added, waives your right to joint assets following misconduct. It's in the prenup. You signed it. She blinked, once, twice. You're doing this to punish me. No, I said. I'm doing this to finish. She sat down at the edge of the bar stool like her legs forgot how to stand. Her phone screen dimmed, then locked. I placed a second mug in front of her. You don't have to drink it, I said. Just thought I'd offer one last normal morning. She didn't touch it, didn't say thank you, didn't know what to say at all. Because charm only works on open doors, and I'd already closed mine, with documents, not words. The room was too clean, the kind of sterile corporate beige that sucks the warmth out of everyone sitting in it. Long table, bottled water, a fake plant near the blinds. I took the seat across from hers, Priya beside me, already sliding her notes into place like it was just another day in court. She walked in late, 3 minutes, maybe 4, with her lawyer on one side and Brian on the other. He wore a cheap blazer like armor, trying hard to appear composed. She had a file folder tucked under one arm and lip gloss she never used unless she felt nervous. He didn't make eye contact with me. Neither did she. Her first words landed like a shrug, masked as civility. This feels aggressive. I thought we were talking. I looked at her, dead still. We are, I said. Legally. Brian shifted in his chair. Her lawyer cleared her throat, straightening a stack of papers no one had asked for. Priya opened the leather binder between us. Her nails were clean and sharp against the page. We'll begin with the timeline, she said. Events, messages, location data. She slid the folder across the table. A printed call log showing Shanghai as a label, not a number. Surveillance stills from the driveway, 4:12 p.m., Brian's hand on her back. A bank statement. Uber charges to and from addresses never mentioned. Expense traces tied directly to our joint account, hotel charges, 1 restaurant bill for 2, champagne marked as client hosting. On a Sunday. Her lawyer's face tightened after the 3rd page. Brian's thumb danced across his phone screen like he was waiting for an excuse to disappear. She said nothing at first, just blinked like a student trying to read the board from the back row and realizing the answers were already written. I didn't know you were watching me, she said finally. I wasn't, I said, not until it became necessary. She reached for the water bottle in front of her, twisted the cap, and drank like it might buy her time. Her voice came out smaller than I'd ever heard it. I thought you still loved me. Priya didn't flinch. This isn't about love. This is about asset violation, breach of Clause 14, and documentation of misconduct. Her lawyer murmured something. She leaned in, whispering now. Something about discovery limits, about thresholds. But they all knew. This wasn't a conversation anymore. It was a ledger. What do you want from me? She asked quietly. I tilted my head. Nothing. She looked confused, a flicker of panic behind the frustration. I've already taken what was mine. The rest, what's left, you can keep. Brian shifted again. His hand grazed her knee under the table. She pulled away, not hard, just enough to make it clear. Priya closed the folder gently, like a book that no longer needed to be read. We'll expect signatures on the mutual release by Friday. Her lawyer nodded without a word. The silence that followed was intense. It was hollow, a room with no answers. Because by the time they'd arrived, the questions had already been answered, in ink and timestamps, in silence that had done its job. They thought this was the start of a negotiation. They didn't realize they'd walked into the last page of a judgment already written. The first week after mediation, she went quiet. not out of surrender, just regrouping. I knew her patterns. Silence was never her defeat. It was her drafting phase. By the second week, the email started, short at first, civil. Phrases like, "I just want to understand, and can we meet outside this process?" I didn't respond. Then came the late night texts. 1:09 a.m., 2:51 a.m. "This isn't you. You're better than this. I miss what we had." One came at 11:34 p.m. Just a single line. "I still believe in us." I watched the screen fade to black. Didn't type anything. Didn't even let the notification badge stay. Priya forwarded the final draft that Friday. Subject line, "For signature, final mutual release." Inside, the document was clean, airtight. A full mutual release of all present and future claims. Explicit forfeiture of any right to the lake house, joint funds and shared investments, retention of all documentation, including digital evidence, for potential defense against defamation or reputational damage. It was more than closure. It was insulation, a barrier between her chaos and any future she might try to rewrite. I skimmed it once, then again, slower. My initials were already in the margin, each one like a stitch sealing up something that had long since bled out. She stalled another 5 days. Excuses came in fragments. My lawyer's reviewing. "Can we revise the language in Section 4? I just want it to feel fair. It had been fair. Fairer than she'd have offered me, had the tables turned. On the fourth Thursday she signed, no ceremony, no second email, just a PDF attachment from her attorney, signed, dated, returned, but she'd added one thing, a comment in the margin on the last page. "Still think of you." I saw the line, didn't read the rest, closed the file, dragged it into the same encrypted folder as the others, logged the timestamp, sent a one-line confirmation to Priya. Outside, the wind knocked a branch against the glass. Inside, the air felt lighter, not warm, just clean. She had wanted something human, a moment, a reach. What she got was the final page of a contract, and that's all she'd earned. The morning she moved out, the sky was overcast, gray, heavy, like the house was holding its breath. She didn't ask for help, hired a service. 3 movers, neutral expressions, efficient hands. She stood outside mostly on her phone, pacing slowly across the front porch like it still belonged to her. The only words she said directly to me were, "They'll be done in an hour." I nodded, not because it mattered, but because it was easier than pretending to care. She left behind 3 boxes by the garage door, one labeled books, another MISC, the third unmarked, taped neatly, intentional, like she wanted me to wonder if it was sentimental or if she simply didn't care enough to finish the job. On top of the third box sat a photo album, leather-bound, slightly worn at the corners. Our wedding, our first apartment, her parents smiling at a dinner I no longer remembered, the dog, back when she was still small enough to carry. That night, I opened the boxes. The books were mostly hers, titles on wellness, travel, a few novels she never finished. The MISC was a collection of things I hadn't seen in years, a mug from our anniversary trip, a broken charger, the ugly candle her friend made that she always kept out of guilt, the unmarked box, empty, just paper filler, and a folded note that read, "Take care of yourself." I donated all 3 boxes the next morning. Didn't open the note again, didn't keep anything. The album I burned, page by page, slow, deliberate, in the metal fire pit, out back. The smoke curled into the cold air like some kind of ritual, but I wasn't looking for closure, I just didn't want relics. Friends started asking questions, some subtle, "Haven't seen her around." Some direct, "You guys okay?" I gave them the same answer I gave the silence. Things changed. Her coworker, Brian, vanished from her social feeds by the end of the month. No tags, no stories. His name became a ghost, even in the background. I wasn't surprised. He was never the destination, only the detour. 3 weeks after she left, a message buzzed through. "Can we just talk?" I didn't open it, just stared at the screen for a moment, then hit delete. No archive, no reply. There was nothing left to say. In the drawer next to me, the property deed, stamped and finalized. My name, alone. a trust account balance that hadn't moved since I transferred the funds. One voicemail from her. 1 minute, 42 seconds. Still marked unplayed. I never listened, because healing didn't need her voice, and closure wasn't an invitation. She thought she could leave a door open. She never noticed I'd already removed the hinges. It came on a Tuesday, mid-morning. I was finishing emails, 2 tabs open, one for the contractor quoting a new fence, the other a slow-loading recipe for mushroom risotto. Her name popped up in the corner of the screen like a whisper that forgot it wasn't welcome. Please, just tell me what I did that pushed you so far. No emojis, no gloss, just raw, clumsy desperation. It was the last move she had left. Not charm, not denial, not silence, a plea, but it was too late for explanations. Too late for the version of me that needed to be understood. I didn't even let the typing bubble rise. Just clicked the arrow, archived the thread, and dragged it into the closed folder Priya had told me to keep. I forwarded one document, her last text, timestamped and logged, to Priya's secure line. She replied within minutes, received and noted. Then I opened my phone settings, scrolled to the carrier tools, and hit the option, change number. A clean cut, no announcement, no forwarding message. That evening I cooked for one. The risotto turned out fine, too much garlic maybe, but it was quiet, and the wine breathed exactly how I like it. Music played soft in the background, something acoustic I hadn't listened to in years. The house felt still, but not empty. On the table beside my plate sat a folded sheet of paper, ivory, expensive stock, her handwriting on the outside. Please read. I hadn't, still hadn't. The edges were crisp, no smudges. Untouched like the last voicemail she left, still sealed in a folder, still labeled unplayed. I looked at it a moment, considered the weight of it, then slid it back into the drawer where the others lived. Quiet company. Some part of her finally wanted answers. She didn't realize I'd already given them, every signature, every silence, every locked gate. She had mistaken my calm for indecision, my quiet for hesitation. But I wasn't holding a grudge, I was holding a boundary, and unlike her, I knew not to cross it.